Welcome to the City Council meeting of May 5th, 2022. City Clerk, could we please have the preamble?
This meeting is compliant with the Ralph M. Brown Act as amended by California Assembly Bill number 361, effective September 16, 2021, providing for a public health emergency exception to the standard teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. The purpose of this is to provide a safe environment for the public, staff, and council members while allowing for public participation. The public may address the council using exclusively remote public comment options. The council may take action on any item listed in the agenda. Public meeting videos. Members of the public may view the City Council meeting by logging into the Zoom webinar listed below. City Council meetings can also be viewed live and or on demand via the city's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brisbane CA, or on Comcast Channel 27. Archive videos can be replayed by the city's website, brisbaneca.org/meetings. To address the council. The City Council meeting will be an exclusively virtual meeting. The agenda materials may be viewed online at brisbaneca.org at least 24 hours prior to a special meeting and at least 72 hours prior to a regular meeting. Meeting participants are encouraged to submit public comments in writing in advance of the meeting. Aside from commenting while in the Zoom webinar, the following email and text line will also be monitored during the meeting, and public comments received will be noted for the record during oral communications 1 and 2 or during an item. Email ipadilla@brisbaneca.org, text 628-219-2922. Join the Zoom webinar zoom.us with the webinar ID 991-9362-8666 and the passcode 123456 and the call-in number 1-669-900-9128. If you need special assistance to participate in this meeting, please contact the City Clerk at 415-508-2113. Notification in advance of this meeting will enable the city to make reasonable arrangements to ensure accessibility to this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, City Clerk. This meeting is now called to order. It's 7:37 p.m. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Cunningham? Unmute.
Present, sorry.
Councilmember Davis is absent. Councilmember Lentz?
Here.
Councilmember O'Connell?
Here.
And Mayor Mackey.
Here. The attorney, could we please have a report out of closed session, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. The council met in closed session and discussed 2 litigation items, one involving PCB and litigation or settlement, and the other involving high-speed rail. Direction was given to council, and we'll follow up on the direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a first and second to adopt the agenda as it stands, please?
So moved.
I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cunningham?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis is absent. Councilmember Lentz?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell?
Aye.
And Mayor Mackey.
Aye. Next, first item on our agenda tonight is a proclamation. This is for National Public Works Week. I'll read the proclamation. Whereas our public works professionals provide services of vital importance to the health, safety, and well-being of the people of Brisbane. Whereas Public Works focuses on our infrastructure, facilities, emergency management, and crucial services that provide us with a high quality of life. Whereas the citizens of Brisbane should understand the importance of our public works in our community. We acknowledge that public works professionals are the first responders, engineers, managers, and employees at all levels who build, rebuild, improve, and protect our transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures essential to our city. Whereas our citizens are urged to recognize and appreciate the substantial contributions these dedicated professionals make 24/7, 365 days a year to ensure our health, safety, and quality of life. Whereas 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week. Therefore, be it resolved, as Mayor of the City of Brisbane, I hereby designate May 15 to 21 as Public Works Week. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 5th day of May in the year 2022. And I understand we have City Engineer Randy Bro, and I can see many members of the Public Works staff here with us this evening. City Engineer Bro, could you please say a couple words about your incredible staff and some of the work they do?
It would be my honor to do that, ma'am, and I hope you'll tolerate. Give me just a few more moments so I can really expound upon the totality of public works, because what I found over the years is that the public's perspective on us is what they've been in contact with. And if they haven't had contact with, they're like, well, maybe we really don't know what those folks do. So let me try and give us a little better understanding of the city's total budget. You count your general fund, your enterprise fund, your special funds. DPW is responsible for more than 40% of that. So we're responsible for almost half of it. We're 1/3 of your total city staff. We're 26 out of 87 full-time employees. And we are responsible for 90% of the city's $90 million overall CIP project list. We operate 13 different divisions within the city. Open space. Staff support for the Open Space and Ecology Committee comes from there. It also includes the city's overall sustainability practices, production of a climate action plan, the building efficiency program, sustainable purchasing, and so forth. Administration and engineering. In addition to the overall admin support for the department, this is where the city engineer and the public works inspector ride. This is where the oversight for design and construction of the award-winning new Brisbane library is provided. This is also where oversight of the solid waste collection franchises lives, which with support from the sustainability manager is responsible for implementing new state requirements for separation and collection of organic trash in order to reduce methane emissions. Streets and storm drains. This division is responsible for everything associated with our 26 centerline miles of road, pavement maintenance, streetlights, traffic signals, and the underlying storm drain system that keeps our streets from flooding. This is also where support for the Complete Street Safety Committee is housed. Buildings and grounds. The city has 20 public facilities that all require ongoing maintenance, park maintenance, engineering and maintenance of recreational areas such as community park, the community pool, etc. Landscape maintenance. While most people are familiar with the community park, not many people know that we also have 44 landscape areas in total that require attention. Sierra Point landscape and lighting, the maintenance and engineering associated with the lighting in the perimeter landscape areas around most of the developments at Sierra Point. Water. As you mentioned in the reso, the city and GDMID water systems have 25 miles of pipeline, 4 reservoirs, 4 pump stations. The reservoirs and pump stations have to be inspected daily, and the engineering section ensures that water quality standards established by the state and federal government. GVMID, the Guadalupe Valley Municipal Improvement District. As a result of the late inclusion of Crocker and NER into the city of the Northeast Ridge, this division is responsible for the water, sewer, storm drain, street lighting, and landscaping within those 2 areas. Sewer, we're not done yet. The city and GVMID sewer systems have 19 miles of pipeline and 4 sewer lift stations. Similar to water, the lift stations are inspected daily. The National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System Division. This is where support for compliance with the Regional Water Quality Control Board's municipal regional permit comes from. In addition to minimizing trash reaching the lagoon by placing and maintaining trash capture devices in the storm drains, permit compliance also includes PCB monitoring, sediment control inspections on grading sites, annual inspections of commercial facilities, and so forth. EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, the training and preparation for disaster. Brisbane was one of the few facilities that actually had a supply of N95 and surgical masks because we had learned from and had taken steps to be prepared after the earlier bird flu scare. Marina, this is the last division. Management of the 580 slip facility and its immediate surrounding area. Most recently, the harbor master was able to locate a company that manufactures photovoltaic powered LED lights that automatically dim in the wee hours of the night, and which will be the replacements for our down lights. So in closing, in the last 2 years, we never shut. The maintenance crews continued to come in and work so that someone was available 24/7, 365. Admin and engineering continued to support the city without interruption. Field inspections for the public and private projects continued, and our marina stayed open to full-time residents and the remainder of the boaters. I am incredibly proud and incredibly respectful of all the work these employees do for you, and I'm sure that you are as well. Thank you.
I would just add to that, you have so much to be proud of. I think of Our public works staff has a giant framework, and we all live inside of that. And without it, everything could collapse. And I've heard the stories. I think our city engineer has told some of them about between Christmas and New Year's. And how many calls do you get in the middle of the night, on Christmas Day, on the holidays, and it's raining outside and it's cold and it's blowing. And guess what? They get dragged out of the house, dragged away from their family celebrations. And why? To make life normal for the rest of us. And that's something we really need to be grateful, because all these faces you see on the screen, they work behind the scenes. You don't always see them, but without them, we have nothing. So my deepest appreciation for all that you do. Anyone else? Council?
Yeah, if I may,
anything?
Mayor Mack, and that was an awesome description of what our public works folks do. You're right. I mean, they not only do they keep us safe, but they, from Randy, just giving that long list of all of the things that they do, they provide opportunities for us to have fun, and they really make our city look beautiful. When you come into town, their fingerprints are everywhere in what we see in that joy of having pride in our own community. And thank you so much for just for having the pride in your work, which then spills out into the pride of the community. Just really greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Well put, Councilmember Lentz. Anyone else? Councilmember Cunningham.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much. For those of you who I've known since you were, about 8 years old, Dustin, watched you grow up and grow into this position and take charge of our town. And for the new people who I've never met before, hello, welcome. Thank you for everything that you do. If you ever see me walking around, please say hi. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Connell.
I just want to say thank you to all of our hardworking public works members. You're important to the city and to us. So thank you.
I think you deserve a virtual round of applause.
They do.
Thank you so much. You're a great team. And thank you, City Engineer. We appreciate your leadership there. Next item we have on our agenda tonight is another proclamation. This one is for Emergency Medical Services Week. The theme is Rising to the Challenge. Whereas emergency medical services pre-hospital is a vital public service. Whereas the North County Fire Authority provides life-saving care to need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas access to quality emergency pre-hospital care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. Whereas the emergency medical services pre-hospital care system consists of first responders, EMTs, firefighter paramedics, emergency dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. Whereas the North County Fire Authority engages in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Whereas first responders and medical professionals face unprecedented health and safety challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, as mayor of the city of Brisbane, I do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th to the 22nd as Emergency Medical Services Week and extend deepest appreciation from our community to the professionals of the North County Fire Authority and emergency medical service providers. I understand Battalion Chief and Emergency Medical Services Chief Matt Power is joining us today.
Great, thank
Matt,
you.
I see you. Would you like to say a couple words, please, about your astonishing crew?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Thank you, Audible City Council. I would just want to add that these men and women within the North County Fire Authority serving the city of Brisbane have worked tirelessly during the COVID-19 pandemic, and also making sure that all of our communities' emergency medical care needs have been met with grace and quality. So we really appreciate you taking the time as a city council and a city for the proclamation, and really proud of our staff being able to serve the emergency medical services needs of all of our communities in the North Zone of San Mateo County. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone on council wish to speak on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for being a great partner, and looking forward to continuing that great relationship.
Anyone else? Councilmember O'Connell?
I just wanted to say thank you. I have had need for your services over the last couple of years during the pandemic, and it was taken care of with grace and a wonderful satisfaction of all the services that you were able to provide for us. So thank you.
Councilmember Cunningham?
Many years ago, I needed to call you guys in to get me out of the bathtub when I fell and broke my face. And I remember how incredible it was having such caring people around me. And I know you do that day in and day out for so many people. So thanks for all those years ago, and thanks every day for everything that you guys do. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. And the next item on our agenda is another proclamation. This is Wildfire Preparedness Month. Whereas last year, California experienced 8,835 wildfires, burning 2.5 million acres in the state. Whereas 3,629 structures were damaged or destroyed by wildfires last year in California. Whereas each year we need to raise the awareness of our citizens on how to protect their property from wildfire losses. Whereas Zone Haven has been adopted as a countywide tool to assist with informed evacuations during wildfire, along with Know Your Zone before an emergency arises. Whereas the North County Fire Authority encourages fire safe behavior by all who live, work, and recreate throughout the city of Brisbane. Whereas each of us can do our part to prepare for wildfire emergencies by making the necessary changes to our homes and landscapes that reduce the risk of wildfire. Whereas if we work together to fire harden our community, we can remain strong and resilient. Now, therefore, as mayor of the city of Brisbane, I hereby proclaim May 2022 as Wildfire Preparedness Month, and encourage all Brisbane residents to increase their knowledge and awareness of proper safety measures to protect themselves from the devastating effects of wildfires. And Battalion Chief Matt Powers, I understand you will also be accepting this proclamation.
Right. Thank you again. So yeah, busy night again. We do certainly appreciate the proclamation and recognition. Fire season is now year round, and firefighters are deployed. Certainly comes with their risks and challenges by assisting those with devastating loss and protecting those from further potential damage. So our firefighters are often gone on strike teams for weeks, taken away from their own lives and their families just to go out and help and protect others. So once again, we, on behalf of the North County Fire Authority and the Brisbane firefighters, we want everyone to go out, be safe, come home safe, and we really appreciate the recognition and proclamation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. And also, I hope this brings a little bit of awareness to our citizens. This is a constant threat in the background. It's been a very dry year. We need everybody to help out in this regard. Anyone else want to speak?
Just once again, thank you, Matt, for everything you guys do. Thanks so much.
Okay. Moving along, we go to oral communications. City Clerk, do we have any member of the public wishing to speak on an item that is not on tonight's agenda?
I wish to speak for the attendees of this meeting. Kindly use the raise hands button and feature at Zoom. Madam Mayor, I have not received any written correspondence, emails, nor do I see any raised hands at this time.
Thank you, City Clerk. We move to the consent calendar. I'll entertain a first and second to approve consent calendars. Items.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I would like to remove item D and F for a matter of a clerical error.
Okay, item D and F. So I would ask for a first and second to approve consent calendar items E, G, and H.
I would make that motion to approve E, G, and H.
I'll second that.
And a second. City Clerk, a roll call, please.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis is absent, Councilmember Lance,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
and Mayor Mackey.
Aye. So we can, I think we can go to those consent calendar items. Councilmember O'Connell, would you like to please point out?
Yes, on item D and F in the council members present section under roll call, it
Mhm.
has listed Councilmember Cunningham as the mayor
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
in both of those documents. And that was my only correction that I'd like to make.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. Moving to a public hearing. Tonight, we will consider introduction of an
I
ordinance.
think we still need to vote on those.
Oh, sorry. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Thank you. So can we have a roll call vote on items D and F for approval on the consent calendar, please?
With the modifications, I make that motion.
Yes.
And I will second it.
Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis is absent, Councilmember Lance,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
and Mayor Mackey.
Aye. Moving to tonight's public hearing, we'll consider an introduction of an ordinance to amend Brisbane Municipal Code, Title 17, the zoning ordinance, to achieve consistency with housing-related state legislation. City Attorney, do I need to read the entirety of this introduction?
You do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead to the staff report, please.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. This item was continued from several months ago. We had some discussion and made some revisions to the ordinance. Again, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Kelly Beggs with the consulting firm of Good City. The city hired Good City using a state grant to bring the city's ordinance into compliance with state law. So I'll turn it over to Kelly to walk you through the revisions.
Thank you, John. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Kelly Beggs, and I'm a principal planner with Good City Company, and I'm pleased to present the item before you tonight, which is the introduction of an ordinance regarding objective design and development standards. We did present this item to the Council in full in January, so we'll keep our presentation relatively brief tonight and open for discussions and questions. So just to provide a bit of background, the purpose behind this ordinance is to comply with state housing law by amending the municipal code to establish objective design and development standards for housing development projects. And that's due to several changes in state law since 2017, specifically Senate Bill 35 and the Housing Accountability Act. And both of those things limit the city's discretion when you're reviewing housing projects to verify that they comply with objective development standards. And so those standards would provide predictability to the community and developers up front in the development process and require no interpretation or personal judgment, as opposed to a subjective standard that would require interpretation and may cause different people to disagree based on personal perspectives. So what the revised ordinance before you tonight is doing is setting forth a new procedure and additional objective standards for housing development projects in the R3 and SCR01 zoning districts, and also allowing housing development projects by right in the SCR01 district, where they previously required a design permit, and that permit just has a subjective process associated with it. So the ordinance is not increasing the intensity of development that's allowed under the existing municipal code in any way via setbacks, height, or density. it really is just layering on those objective design standards so that you can expect an outcome of a better designed building. So this, as I mentioned, the City Council did consider a previous iteration of this ordinance at their January 20th hearing of this year. And the item was continued due to concerns around the NCR02 district. And as you may have noted, we have stripped that district from the revised ordinance before you tonight. In addition, staff met with the planning subcommittee of the City Council in February of this year. So I'll just discuss the changes that have been made to the ordinance through council direction at those two meetings to catch everyone up and make sure that we're all aware of what we're considering tonight. So I mentioned the NCR02 district. At the January 20th meeting, the council expressed a number of concerns with the amendments as they relate to the NCR02 district, including the residential density that was proposed, and especially the requirements for small commercial storefronts and the long-term economic viability of those small storefront spaces. So noting that those concerns are important and raise much larger and broader land use issues for the NCR02 district, that does really go beyond the scope of what we're trying to accomplish with the objective design and development standards. So those have been, the NCR02 district has been removed at this time from the draft ordinance, and staff plans to undertake a more comprehensive analysis of that district to address those broader issues, both looking at density and then also really trying to think about how to treat those storefront spaces. Next, at the council subcommittee meeting, there was a lot of discussion about spillover lighting and a direction to add some additional lighting standards to prevent glare into residences. So staff has added into the ordinance additional requirements for refuse and recycling enclosures, including a requirement that luminaries are full cut off to prevent overspill of lighting of those structures onto neighboring properties. And then also to note is that the city is developing a dark skies ordinance, and that would apply to new development, including housing development projects, provided that those standards and that forthcoming ordinance are objective. We also received direction to add side articulation requirements for structures. So staff has added side articulation requirements for the interior side walls. Previously, only the exterior side walls were required to have side articulation. Next, we also had some discussion regarding light wells. Since we did remove the NCR02 district from this ordinance, we're only really looking at the SCR01 and R3 districts, and they have adequate side setbacks in between buildings to allow light and air. And then the California Building Code also has regulations that allow light and air. And then, so those really summarize the changes that have been made to the revised ordinance before you tonight. But for this time, I'll stop there. And we're all happy to answer any questions. Erin Acton is also here with me tonight, principal of Good City Company. So thank you.
Council members, questions? Councilmember Cunningham?
I don't have any questions. I think this was a good interpretation of the things that we discussed from the last meeting. Excuse my voice.
Councilmember O'Connell?
So I just wanted to make sure that the planning subcommittee that met, these additions to the ordinance met with the requirements that you felt needed to be added in for our discussion.
I can speak for the subcommittee, and Councilmember Cunningham can join in. We were very satisfied. We went through all the details, and all of the changes that I recall have all been incorporated. I did read through the draft. Councilmember Cunningham, you want to add to that?
No, as I said, I think the suggestions that we made after going through this with a fine-tooth comb were adequately addressed in what was presented to us this evening.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for asking about that. Councilmember Lentz?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with the work that the subcommittee did to revise the ordinance. So thank you for the work. And I'm just kind of curious, what was the game plan with the subcommittee to bring back the NCR02 district, to get that up?
I can speak to that if you like, Colleen.
Go ahead.
So it became such a complicated mishmash in the middle of something that seemed, what we're bringing back tonight, seemed so streamlined. There were just so many potential pitfalls with us trying to make a decision with that piece in that pot that we decided to separate it out, send it back to staff to have a bigger deep dive into it. When we're talking about these small storefronts, it's like, we can't just make a decision on the fly as to what really should happen there. It's going to require, from my perspective, and I think Mayor Mackin would agree, much more in-depth analysis of what's possible. The parking, the lighting, the 25-foot storefronts can't make money. I mean, simply put, it wouldn't matter how many people you put through those doors, they cannot make money. So that's why it was pulled out and will be treated as a separate component.
I was just going to add that it just seemed almost like an anomaly where we were trying to impose something on that district that we couldn't, because there were just too many particulars that need to be decided. What happens with the size of the storefronts, and the lot sizes are narrower. There's just way too many exceptions in there. So we felt, instead of holding this whole thing back, let's deal with those later, because it's going to need more review in depth.
Yeah, that really makes sense. And so John, would Good City be part of that work, or is Good City's role finished, and now this will be the subcommittee working with city staff and I guess maybe the community at large to work that out?
Yeah, certainly the Good City work program tied to the SB2 work. As Kelly mentioned, this deeper dive really wasn't included within that scope of work or budget. So we'd have to do something different with Good City or work with city staff. We haven't figured out the work program yet. City staff does have some constraints in terms of the housing element being kind of a critical item to get done over the next quarter or next month or so. I think we'll be able to revisit that later in the summer and determine what resources, and if we do suggest that we might want to use some outside resources, bring that back through the city manager for consideration.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember O'Connell, you have a question?
Well, not so much a question as a comment, that the area that was excluded really is going to shape what our downtown looks like. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was the reasoning on our earlier discussions why we had shown some concerns, and I'm glad that the planning subcommittee really looked at those concerns and decided to parcel them out. So thank you.
Okay, if we have no further questions, then I'd like to open the public hearing. City Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to speak?
Madam Mayor, I have not received any emails or written correspondences, text messages. I see a raised hand from Barbara Ebel.
Barbara, go ahead.
I just wanted to applaud your decision on this. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Barbara. Anyone else? City Clerk, do we have anyone else wishing to speak?
There are no other members of the public wishing to speak, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Then can we have a first and second closed public hearing, please?
I make that motion to close the public hearing.
And a second?
Second.
We have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis is absent. Councilmember Lentz,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
Mayor Mackin.
Aye. So council, any further discussion on this? Councilmember Lentz, anything to add?
No, good work, subcommittee.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Connell?
No comments.
Okay. Councilmember Cunningham?
I think I said it all.
Okay. Then I will entertain a first and second to introduce the ordinance to amend the Brisbane Municipal Code Title 17 zoning ordinance to achieve consistency with housing-related state legislation.
So moved.
And a second, please.
A second.
And can we have a roll call, please?
Member Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis is absent. Councilmember Lentz,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
and Mayor Mackin.
Aye. And I would like to just express our appreciation to the good city staff who spent a lot of time working with us and our planning department and did a great job, and appreciate your responsiveness.
Thank
as
you.
My
well.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent work. Thank you.
All right, we move to new business. Item A, reject all bids received April 21, 2022 for the 18 Solano Street retaining wall project. This is job number 922B. Could we have a staff report, please?
Yes, ma'am. As noted in the staff report, we did receive 3 bids for this project. That was a substantially smaller number than we were anticipating. And when we reached out to bidders and plan holders, what we discovered was that unfortunately the date we had selected to take bid on was a very, very busy day for bidding. And this was a $200,000 project, and contractors were going after other larger projects. So it's our recommendation, in order to get the best spread of bidders and the best bids for the city, that we reject all bids and we put the project back out to bid. It's my expectation that if you reject this, I will have it back out to bid next Monday. We will take bids so that we can bring it to your first meeting in June, and the project will still be completed before the rainy season.
Great. And any council questions? Councilmember Lentz? Councilmember O'Connell?
Yes, I ask that, can I hear what the retaining wall is, that behind the Silver Spot Nursery?
No, it's the last residence before you're making that corner to go to Silver Spot. The wall and the slope there have failed. We've had the sidewalk closed for quite a few months now, just because it's falling into the street. We've actually closed the sidewalk and the parking spaces near it.
Okay, and are this retaining wall is city property retaining wall?
Yes, ma'am. It's in the public right away.
Okay, that's my only question. Thank you.
Councilmember Cunningham? No questions? All right. City Clerk, do we have any public wishing to comment?
Madam Mayor, I have not received any written correspondence or text messages, and I do not see
Okay,
any hands
thank you.
raised.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll take a first and second to reject all bids received April 21, 2022 for the 18 Solano Street retaining wall project, job number 922B.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis is absent. Councilmember Lentz,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
and Mayor Mackin.
Aye. We move to item B, receive solid waste collection rate adjustment. The council will receive South San Francisco Scavenger's 2022 rate increase of 5.19%. Could we have staff report, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening once again. So this is an annual evolution the city goes through, where we receive a request from this, in particular, this waste franchisee that operates the 2 primary zones in town. It's the 2 residential areas that we have. And what it's related to is a 2014 agreement that the city entered into with South San Francisco Scavengers. And it's got a very formulaic method of increasing the rate. And the reason cities typically enter into 20-year agreements on these is that it's expensive for a solid waste haul, because what they are doing is they are investing in 3 cans at each and every residence. They are investing in trucks that cost upwards from $750,000 to $1 million a piece. So they need time to recover that capital investment. In this particular franchise, it's a very, very simple calculation. What they do is they look at the consumer price index over a 1-year period. We calculate that. I've looked at their numbers. I agree with what the calculation is. And then they are allowed to increase their rate by 80% of that CPI increase. And that's what the rates are here. And these rates will be effective July 1 of this year.
Thank you, City Engineer. Do we have any council questions? I see no hands. Councilmember Lentz? No. Okay. Do we have any public comments, City Clerk?
Not received any text messages or written correspondence, and I do not see any raised hands, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Any discussion on the council? This is an informational report thing that we're voting on.
I just have a comment, Madam Mayor. Just thinking about like how other, cities, jurisdictions, that have issues with their garbage, and pick up and things like that. And I mean, I've lived in Brisbane for 30 years, and the South City Scavenger Company has just done a knockout job. I mean, in some ways, they're kind of like public works. They go there, they do their job, and they do it well. And I don't know. I've never heard complaints from constituents ever saying, "Hey, these guys are rotten" or whatever. They just, when you don't hear anything, that's a good thing. So,
I've got to agree with you, sir. I don't want to throw them too much good praise, because we'll eventually get into renegotiations with them. But that's the type of company that, when we have elder citizens that can't bring their trash cans up their steps, they go down and get them. In our upper streets, where they can't get their large trucks through, they bring the old style trucks through, and they come through and they empty stuff by hand. And it's even something as simple as looking at the report that they turn in. They make it simple. It's like, hey, here's what's in our agreement. Here's what we do. They're really easy to deal with. It's great. It's great having it. It's great not having complaints. And actually, the thing that I really wanted to touch on is, so many years ago when we did this, we did a trash container management policy. And the understanding was that people were having overflowing trash cans, and we were trying to get them to stop that happening. And part of what we put into that policy was that Scavenger has the right to impose the $30 extra pickup fee if they have to go out and actually pick up trash and put it in a container somewhere. They never charged anyone for that. They've had to do it. They've had to do it hundreds of times, but they just don't charge anybody extra for it. So I think they want to be here, and I think our citizens want them to be here as well.
Yeah, it's been a good partnership.
I appreciate City Engineer for your going through this report. Something I've always heard is every time the council receives these increases, and then I hear people say, why are you letting them raise the rate? So you have given us the explanation. It is a contract that they're entitled to do this. So I hope that makes it very clear. Anyone else? No?
Okay.
Well, it's just a report. We don't even have to vote on it. So we move on to staff report of City Manager. Could we have your report, please?
City Manager's report for May 5th. The first item is the applications for the Complete Street and Committee and the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity, or IDEA Committee. We're still soliciting applications for both of those committees through May 25th at 5 p.m. You can get the application at brisbaneca.org/open seats. Second item, just a reminder, our hydrant painting and restoration day is set for May 14th and 15th, or weekend, I should say. We've extended the deadline for signing up to May 6th, which is tomorrow. We heard earlier this tonight about the wilderness declaration for the month. We've been recently sending out letters to all of our residents for fire abatement. Let's keep Brisbane safe. All properties must have dry weeds and dead vegetation cut and removed no later than June 1st. In weed abatement, if you have questions, Clyde Preston, the safety inspector, at 650-991-5741 or cpreston@northcountyfire.org. San Mateo County Mayor's Mental Health Initiative invites you to a free in-person training here in Brisbane on Saturday, May 21st from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. The training is geared for adults helping adults. You be the one to lead by example and get certified in mental health first aid. The training date again is May 21st, 8:30 to 5, Brisbane City Hall here at 50 Park Place. Registration is open at brisbaneca.org/MHFA through May 20th of this month. Apply by May 21st to be on the 19-person San Mateo County Grand Jury. It requires 15 to 20 hours week work from July 1 through 2022 through June 30th, 2023. San Mateo County Grand Jury applications are now open. You can apply at sanmateocourt.org/grand jury. The grand jury itself identifies different issues that it wants to look into and make recommendations to agencies throughout the county on. I believe that's it.
Thank you, City Manager. And I'll add, as a graduate of the San Mateo County Grand Jury, it's a very interesting experience. You learn an awful lot about all the city and also about our county government and a lot of the issues and the funding and how the money is spent from the county. So I do recommend any citizens interested, please apply early. All right, we move to Mayor Council matters, countywide assignments and subcommittee report. Councilmember Cunningham, would you like to start? I think you're muted.
Sure. Would you all indulge me for a couple of minutes so I can also give a report out from the Progress seminar last weekend, which I think would be very valuable to everybody. But first, Councilmember Davis and I had a public arts committee. The committee continued its discussion on the RFP process for elements to be included in the RFP for to assist the city with the process to select and install art elements for the community park between Old County Road and San Francisco Avenue across from the Village Shopping Center. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's behind the toilet block. It's that really cute little park that's kind of very zen-like at this moment. That's our first place we're looking at putting some public art. The committee also discussed the city's public art master plan by reviewing the city of Pasadena's master plan and the city of Carlsbad's master plan. We have a couple of other cities that we're also looking at, how they put theirs together. But it seems that there's a couple that we're honing in on that really feel Brisbane-like. So that's where we were with that. I had nothing else on those subcommittees. You guys want to give your subcommittee reports, or shall I just blast straight into the Progress seminar?
Just keep going.
Okay, so last weekend was the, what number was it? I think it was like the 30th Progress seminar, which is leadership from all over the county of San Mateo, from the Chamber of Commerce to business leaders, civic leaders, and others attend this 3-day conference. And this year it was at the Hyatt in Santa Rosa, which was a delightful venue. And I have to say, I was not terribly impressed with the other Progress seminars that I've been to in the past. I found them extremely boring and covering materials that we go over and over and over again. But I think they listened. and that 2-year break where we couldn't be together, they put together a magnificent seminar this weekend. And a couple of the highlights for me were not the food, were Nancy McGee, who is the superintendent of schools for the county of San Mateo. What an exceptional person she is. She ran a session called Education is Everyone's Business. So the people who were involved, in that session were educators. They were city council members. They were, business leaders. They were boards, et cetera, et cetera. And the questions that came up were just astounding. It inspired me so much. I came back from that progress seminar and I asked Mayor Mackin if she'd give up her spot on the school 2x2. So now it will be Madison Davis and myself will be on the school 2x2. I really enjoyed it that much. The other person that I really want to highlight from that session relative to the mental health first aid, please, I'm reaching out to everybody, please tell your neighbors, we all need to get certified in this mental health first aid. They were talking about, well, Dr. Scott Gilman, he's the Director of Behavioral Health and Recovery Services in San Mateo County Health. What an extraordinary person. The way he spoke was just so heartfelt and brilliant. And he said, we cannot avoid the word suicide. COVID has taught us some horrible lessons relative to that, and hence this first aid class. Not only is this first aid class going to be offered to all of us, but those who are really interested in becoming a tutor, I guess, as it would, there'll be another class where you can do a 40-hour class and learning how to train the trainer, basically. But Dr. Gilman, he just spoke from the heart, and it was such a magnificent session. Everybody else was pretty good, but those two stood out for me. And it was money really well spent, taxpayer money really well spent to send me up there. I learned a lot, and I will be writing up some notes. I've just been very busy this week. So thank you for indulging me.
Any questions for Councilmember Cunningham? No? Okay. Councilmember O'Connell, you want to go next?
Sure. Councilmember Davis and I had a LunaFest subcommittee meeting, which I think from our last change in roles on subcommittees, that is no longer a subcommittee for us to report out on because it's not really a city function, but we just discussed the ongoing planning for the event. And then I also attended the airport land use committee meeting, and we reviewed 2 projects in South San Francisco. Both were deemed, one in San Bruno, which is involving the north side of the Tan Ferran shopping center. And it was interesting, the project came in 1 inch, literally 1 inch below critical airspace. And so the committee could not deem it non-conforming, but we did agree to send a letter to San Bruno and to the developer that allowing 1 inch is really cutting it thin on being into critical airspace. So,
may I ask you a question?
Of course.
Is that project part of the renovation rehab to biotech of the existing Tan Ferran Mall?
I believe it is not housing. It is not the housing portion. This is all for biotech and office and retail.
But it is on that site?
I believe it is, yes. It's on the north side of that site. And so it's always interesting when you're on a committee that has to follow the rules and there is no decision making if it meets the rules. But I found it interesting that they don't know who these tenants they're building for and what kind of HVAC they're going to need or stacks. And so building the buildings within 1 inch of the federal legal limit could be very dangerous. So anyway, that is my report.
They'll certainly be able to read the numbers on the bottom of the aircraft passing over their head without binoculars.
Yes, they will.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. Councilmember Lentz.
No, I think the only subcommittee I had was the one with you yesterday, Madam Mayor. So if you want to jump into that one, or I could start it.
We actually had one on.
Oh, we had another one the week before.
April 25th.
Right, grading.
Right. And that was the redrafted grading ordinance. Do you want me to do that one? Then we can go in the next one?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so I was on the planning commission that had submitted some suggestions. I was very pleased. Many of those suggestions from the planning commission were incorporated into this draft. That included a process for notification, appeals, and public hearings. There were some additional items put in that I just felt were really, really well thought, and I appreciate all the work that many people put into putting together the draft. We suggested bringing the draft to the full council soon. We did request staff review the tree ordinance and possibly consider some updates. Cliff, do you want to add anything to that?
You know, no, the report that you gave was yeah, very accurate, and I'm glad that you acknowledged the work that staff did to listen to the feedback from the planning commission and incorporate those changes. And I think it provides a much better product and provides those safeguards, not only for the commission, but then also allowing the community to have input, if so desired.
Well, it was a very difficult endeavor to try to come up with solutions to all the intricacies, and I thought they did really an outstanding job. I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah, they did thread
So, we also had the meeting just the other day, May the 4th. You wanted to start on that one, Cliff?
Yeah, sure, Madam Mayor. So I mean, we all have been hearing the news of just the devastation, right, to our water infrastructure in the West. You see the photos of Lake Powell, Lake Mead. I went up to Reading for a race last month, and just driving along 5 and looking down into Shasta Lake, and it was just like, there's the Sacramento River. All that's left in some sections is just the river. The lake is gone. It's just mind blowing. And so, of course, we're not going to fix those problems, but looking from within and trying to come up with potential solutions that at least allow us to do our part. And so we looked at reducing non-potable landscaping water demand. We also, looked at potential options for reclamation of wastewater effluent. And so, it was a pretty lively discussion. We just went, step by step through the staff report, and Randy was great, providing this insight of what potential options can be, and and then looking at the relationships that we have, not just in Brisbane, but in the region, and trying to come up with ways to strengthen those relationships so that we all can contribute in a more efficient way of dealing with water. So anything else you want to add there?
Let me see. The white paper that staff put together, again, another outstanding piece of work, because they really went into the weeds and thought of so many different aspects of, gave us information of current usage, projected usage, all the different areas of the city, looking at landscape water reduction, and it causes problems getting the money for operating expenses. So much to consider there. We talked a little bit also about the entrance to Crocker Park, because we noted that City Hall has the wonderful little xeriscape there in the planters, and that maybe we can kind of set the tone by doing that at the entrance to Crocker Park, and be an encouragement with the industrial park property owners. We also talked a little bit, just to note, our subcommittee's been talking about the excessive speeds on Bayshore, and we had some discussions on different things to do to mitigate that. And I'd almost like to call upon Randy if he's still here, because he had the contact that came from UC Berkeley and a grant that will be studying Bayshore, doing what we asked for, which was a critical assessment of that area, the safety of pedestrians and bicyclists, particularly in the vicinity of the mobile home park. And the speeds of the vehicles just keep going up. So something has to be done there. And this study will be done at no cost to the city, which is tremendous. And I believe this is supposed to start sometime in the summer, and we'll have some results in the fall. So it should be interesting to see what they come up with. I also had a Peninsula Clean Energy meeting on April 28th. It was mostly administrative issues. PCE hired a new COO. And one thing I can bring to you just was a report that every month we get on the impact of COVID and energy use, because we saw energy go down in 2020. And now in 2022, we saw residential and industrial use go down 2% from January to March 2022 compared to last year. But commercial, which is big commercial entities, the load was higher in the same period of time. So kind of gives you a snapshot of what's going on there. Councilmember Lentz, did you have any other subcommittee report?
And, I didn't. I just wanted to just make a little note that I heard on NPR that California, for I think it was like 2 minutes, was completely run on alternative energy. Right. So it was, I think last week, I think it was like the longest time span, but it's getting there, right? And in calling you, we talked a little bit about it. You said that California is supposed to be 100% alternative by 2035, or is that the goal?
2045 is
2045, sorry.
But Peninsula Clean Energy adopted a resolution to try to meet it in 2035. So we would be one county, and I say county, but PCE's service territory also now includes Los Banos. So, but we would be one area kind of leading the charge to meet those goals sooner. And it really is difficult, because it's not just everyone says, go get solar. And then what do you do in the dark hours? And then, okay, go get wind. And what do you do during some of the months where there's very little wind? So you have to find things like geothermal, and we may have to go out of state. Nevada and Wyoming have some geothermal that we can buy that energy, but then you've got to store that energy for the off-peak hours, because at night we turn the lights on, people run their washing machines. How are you going to have the energy? So the battery storage becomes important. So there's many entities starting up these businesses, a lot of them in the Central Valley. But the problem is PCE has signed all these contracts in just about the last 5 months, lots of them to meet this new goal. But most of them don't come online until 2026, 27, 28. It takes time to build these from scratch, but it presents a new opportunity for the Central Valley, where they don't have all the agricultural water, but they're also now right next to some of those same arid fields putting in these energy and battery facilities so they can still make money off of their property, which is a good thing and a win. But the difficult part is we need to deliver energy closer at hand so we don't lose 10 to 15% in sending it over long distances. So that may entail some thought about putting energy resources on top of the buildings that we have close by. So that's my long and short lecture on energy. You shouldn't ask me questions like that.
Sorry.
I'll keep going.
No, it was well worth it.
But I'm going to do one last tie-in when we talk about water. And every time you hear on the radio or the news and people say, oh, no problem, desalinization, that takes an enormous amount of power that we don't have because we're trying to meet the current needs. And then if you want to press the grid for more, we don't have that if we're going to decarbonize. So that's a difficult proposition and no one has a solution yet, but something to consider. Okay. City Clerk, do we have any written communication? Oh, wait 1 second. Councilmember O'Connell, yes.
I heard an announcement by Councilmember Cunningham that she is switching from, or she's taking over the duties on the 2x2. Is that something as a council we need to discuss, or does the mayor have any concerns giving up her spot on that?
I spoke to Councilmember Cunningham about the whole program that she went to over the weekend, and I was honestly very impressed by the level of involvement and her insights and contacts she made, and I felt it would be very worthwhile. Quite honestly, I only attended one meeting in February of 2021 as a member of that subcommittee. So I really don't have a problem with giving that up.
Okay.
And I'll be very happy to give one of my charges to Mayor Mackham. We just have to look at the list and see which one that might be.
Yeah, just to formalize this.
Sounds
we'll
good.
Bring it back at the next meeting, and just because you as a group do adopt that or the roster.
You don't vote on it, but you formally adopt it. So we
Yeah.
should do that.
Okay, thank you. Back to the city clerk. Do we have any written communications?
Written correspondences were received between April 22nd through May 5th, were the MB Law and Greenbelt Alliance on April 24th, letter regarding Brisbane's 6th cycle housing element. Sierra Club Loma Prieta chapter, May 2nd, 2022, Sierra Club Loma Prieta chapter comment letter regarding planning review and entitlements of biotech developments. Lastly, Ronald L. Kirkish on May 5th, fentanyl letter from Virginia Bass, chair for the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors, the San Francisco District, Chesapeake.
Clerk Padilla, those are the letters that are available online, correct? They were submitted previously.
Yeah, on May 2nd.
Were any submitted this evening? I guess what I'm asking.
This evening, no.
Okay, thank you.
And finally, last but not least, we go to oral communications number 2. Do we have any member of the public wishing to make public comment?
Madam Mayor, I don't see any emails or text messages or written correspondence, and no raised hands at this time.
All right. That being said, I thank everyone for your attendance, your participation. Please have a good weekend. And this meeting is adjourned at 8:44 p.m. Good night.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Thank you.